Welcome back to Ben Keenan Just Can't Stop Talking, the water cooler episode, aka the 10-ish minute news and culture show, where we do a roundup of all of the news that happened over the past 24 hours so that you are a little bit smarter about a lot of things. It is Thursday, March 27th, and the thunderstorm from yesterday is gone now, so it's a little brighter. We don't have those black clouds looming over the outside atmosphere. But what we do have is a day full of interesting, I think I'm going to say, news clips and bits that you need to know about. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right in. A U.S. judge ruled that extreme heat in Texas prisons is unconstitutionally cruel, but stops short of requiring air conditioning. Bitch, what? So there's this mom and baby supply company called Frida, apparently. First I've heard of it, but they're launching something very specific. So you can now on their website pre-order pints of breast milk flavored ice cream. Yes, you heard me right, boob ice cream. The company describes it as, quote, the ice cream that will be a pitch perfect representation of the sweet, creamy, nutrient-packed goodness we've all been wanting to try, but have been afraid to ask, and will include some of its same nutrients, including fats, omega-3 brain fuel, carbs, energy-boosting lactose, important vitamins like iron, calcium, vitamin B, D, and zinc, plus lots of H2O for hydration. Now, I will not be buying this myself. It's not up my alley. However, if Frida does hear this podcast per chance and want to send me a pint to try, I'm always down to try something once. RFK Jr. has announced that he is going to slash 10,000 jobs from the Department of Health and Human Services, drastically reducing the FDA, so the Food and Drug Administration, the CDC, so the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the NIH, the National Institute of Health. And in case that wasn't bad enough, here's how cavalier they're being with the whole thing from the author of Project 2025.
What is it, 10,000 jobs in HHS are being ripped out. I'm sure they have severance pay and so forth. Just about 1/4 of the health department, health agency is being cut down. Now, that's quite a bit of, that's a big piece of change from the Doge brothers.
No, it's fantastic. I talked with Secretary Kennedy about an hour ago, and he is really excited about what they've unveiled today, the extent to which they've reorged the department, the number of people that they're able to let go and be able to find efficiencies at HHS. And so it's a really exciting what you're seeing across. We've had a lot of cabinet meetings, and these are real cabinet meetings that are transparent, and we talk about a lot of this stuff, and each cabinet head is leaning in to be able to figure out how they can do their job more efficiently.
Kesha, Kesha, don't make it pop, DJ blow. Anyway, she has announced her new album called Period. It's not called Period. It's just the period at the end of a sentence. That's the entire name of it. I think that's how you would pronounce it. Anyway, it will release on the 4th of July. Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the UK, announced last year that knife crime in Britain was at an epidemic level and that he'd crack down on sales of these weapons once and for all. Well, today he announced that ninja swords will be banned by this summer. The president at the University of Michigan announced that it will end all DEI initiatives campus-wide, including closing the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, discontinuing the DEI 2.0 strategic plan, and ending the use of diversity statements in faculty hiring. The Sundance Film Festival will relocate to Boulder, Colorado in 2027, ending its decades-long run in Park City, Utah. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is when you realize that I did not know where Sundance Film Festival was taking place. Kind of thought it was a desert. In Arizona, maybe? I kind of thought Sundance was a place. Remember yesterday how I told you that Democrats were overperforming in special elections across the nation and were flipping deep red Republican-held districts? Well, the long story short here is that Elise Stefanik, a Republican congresswoman and Trump kiss-ass from upstate New York, sat in a Trump plus 20 congressional district. She was nominated by Trump to serve as the ambassador to the United Nations, which is meaning that she would have to give up her seat in Congress, which would open it back up to a special election in order to replace her. Well, Republicans only have a 2-seat majority in the House right now, and they're starting to panic after that Pennsylvania seat yesterday flipped from deep red to blue. And there's a farmer who is running in the district as a Democrat that might actually be able to flip it in upstate New York, narrowing the majority even further. So ultimately, the White House decided that they were going to withdraw Elise Stefanik's nomination to the ambassadorship for the United Nations. In his announcement on Truth Social, Trump said, quote, "As we advance our America First agenda, it is essential that we maintain every Republican seat in Congress. We must be unified to accomplish our mission, and Elise Stefanik has been a vital part of our efforts from the very beginning. I have asked Elise, as one of my biggest allies, to remain in Congress to help me deliver historic tax cuts, great jobs, record economic growth, a secure border, energy dominance, peace through strength, and much more, so we can make America great again. With a very tight majority, I don't want to take the chance on anyone else running for Elise's seat." That smells to me like someone is actually recognizing that this seat could have been flipped. A Trump plus 21 seat could have flipped to the Democrats. And the candidate, Blake, who is running as the Democrat, has already said that he's committed to running whenever the election is being held, so likely 2026. And I think it's a great idea because Republicans are clearly scared of him. But if anyone is going to learn anything from this at all, let it be that those who are on their knees right now for Trump are going to get screwed. All agreements with Trump are a one-way agreement. When Trump no longer needs you, you're tossed aside and your higher ambitions are squashed. Remember that. So the FCC, aka the Federal Communications Commission, the people who basically oversee TV, have said that they received 125 complaints about Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance during the Super Bowl. Now, you might think the complaints would come in the fashion of calling Drake a pedophile or, the pearl clutchers freaking out about the gyrating that was happening, but nor. The FCC revealed that many of them were focusing on the lack of white performers. And dare I say, people are calling for DEI for white dancers? Is that what I'm hearing here? Chris Brown, yes, apparently he's still relevant, announced a new tour called the Breezy Bowl XX Stadium World Tour across Europe and North America, which will feature Summer Walker and Bryson Tiller. Don't go to that. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver announced that the NBA is now exploring a European league after the Board of Governors meeting, adding, quote, "It's early days, literally nothing has been agreed upon yet." Apparently, they're exploring game times that reflect the current FIBA and Euro format of 40-minute games, while looking at existing facilities, but also potentially new state-of-the-art arenas in cities that are well-known, successful, and have notable basketball history, with 16 teams total, 12 that will be legacy and 4 that will be rotating. Bitch, expand to Seattle first. Focus. Okay, so the Yemen bombing group chat has gotten juicier. According to the Wall Street Journal, 2 U.S. officials said that Israel provided senior Trump administration officials with sensitive intelligence from a human source in Yemen on a key Houthi military operative targeted in an attack described by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz in an unclassified signal chat. Y'all, the leaks are leaking. Once again, I told you, heads will roll for this. Just keep an eye out. Beyonce was snubbed by the 2025 American Country Music Awards despite having taken home multiple awards at the Grammys, including Best Country Album and Album of the Year. But we all knew that this was going to happen, didn't we? So we previously talked about how influencer and party girl Alex Earl's podcast Hot Mess was leaving Call Her Daddy host Alex Cooper's Unwell Podcast Network. Well, Alex Earl announced today that her podcast is being paused for the foreseeable future, to which Alex Cooper promptly responded with a quote, "Hi, I see your comments. Alex is not being able to podcast has nothing to do with Unwell. IDK, why she can't / what's going on. Unwell gave her everything back. She owns her IP." Alex Earl then said that she's going on to start to do weekly vlogs, and my guess is that her numbers were probably not doing very well in the podcast space, and they're going to try to grow her into the longer form YouTube style videos, but that is just my 2 cents from somebody who is directly in the industry on both sides of the fence. 76-year-old King Charles III experienced side effects today after receiving a medical treatment for his cancer and was briefly in the hospital for observation. That time is ticking, we all know that. Scientists announced that they have the first known recordings of the sounds a shark makes, which apparently only lasts like 48 milliseconds. And no, it is not just the sounds of the Jaw theme song. Previously, they thought it was just like a quiet fish, but these sounds proved otherwise. Science, And finally, a Texas board has denied the parole for Yolanda Saldivia, who was convicted for the killing of music icon Selena in 1995. And if you listen so closely, that is the sound of millions of Selena fans applauding loudly. And that's it. That's all the news for today. Thank you again for listening. I will be back tomorrow on Friday with more news because things are always happening. But if you cannot wait until then, you can find me on social media. I am on TikTok and YouTube at I've Been Traveling. I am on Instagram and Threads at Ben Keenan. You can find me on the podcast at Ben Keenan Just Can't Stop Talking on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until tomorrow, see you then. Bye.